Hello and welcome to the energy updates here on the Astroflower. We're going to be going into obviously what's been going on with the energies, the prana energy and the chi energy. That's the real energy that's sort of affecting your aura and your chakras as well. So we're going to be going into what's been happening this week. And there's certain things that have been very interesting according to the energy update that we did last week. Obviously, we're going to be going into the chakra sequencing and also get a message from the earth. But before we do that, let's just go in to see what's happening on the sun over the past week. And as you can well see here on the sun here, there's a lot of corona holes going on. There's a little bit of flashing here and there, but nothing really fantastic. Look at the KP index. It's very calm and quiet, and so is the X-ray flux as well. So there hasn't been any major eruptions that are coming in our direction. But we have had that coronal hole, and we've seen that in the earthquakes as well upon Earth. So there has been a change. We went into it slightly last week, and about how there was groupings of earthquakes on the in Mexico and on the Alaskan region, and also on the root chakra, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. But this week here, it's been all about the rhythm, it seems. So let's just take a little bit of a deeper dive into those earthquakes. So this is where we have the earthquakes from the 7th of January. We did have accumulation before, which we talked about in last week's energy update, of the accumulation in the Alaskan Ridge, but also in the Caribbean and Mexico area. And it was sort of holding back the sacrum more than anything else. And then once it sort of broke from there, this is when it started happening a lot more within the third eye and throat chakra, which is in this section here, and then the crown chakra, which is just above here. Really quite big earthquakes as well, but not really going out too far. We talked about the Ethiopian earthquake scenario about that as well. Now let's move on to the 8th. If we move on to the 8th here we have the 8th. There's a sort of opening up of the energies heading towards the heart chakra, which is more down here, and the solar plexus is really playing a lot more of a role, a holding role more than anything else. And as this time goes on, so we go here until the 9th, now we get this long line here. There's not very many earthquakes at all. It's where the earth is breathing, or the rhythm is breathing within the energy. And this is what we should really totally understand about the sun. So let me just bring up another photo of the sun here. And here we have the sun, and you can see this coronal hole here, which is strung out over 25%, like a quarter of the sun's diameter, or circumference, sorry. So it's playing out on this string effect, and we can see this string effect coming back to our earthquake map. See this string effect here, and it's spreading out. There's no more accumulations in these zones here. And as we go forward again to the next day, this is when it really starts pulling out into this string. And that ties in with that coronal hole that was been going through on the sun. And it's heading much more towards the heart chakra, which is just up there, which I'll show you in a minute as we go forward. And then it retracts as well. So it goes from expanding out that way to strike the heart chakra, and then it retracts, and as it retracts, it goes back to the holding point in Mexico, which is between the root and the sacrum. Obviously, we've still got some going on here as well, and even one that's right by the solar plexus, and it was just south of the solar plexus, the lower part of the solar plexus, and I would have thought that's going to be hitting the energies quite hard, really, more than anything else. And then we go on to the following day, and the following day, this is where it really does start pushing through. We get back to that sort of string effect, and the heart chakra is really being banged upon, as it were. There's really ringing out a lot more now. And then we go to the next following day, we get the contraction, but there's no more resistance now in the Americas, both south and north. So the sacrum and the root chakra is not really offering a lot of resistance. And we're hitting a lot more into the third eye and the throat chakra, and also the solar plexus as well. So this is
contraction from getting that heart's desires and getting on and doing and following the plan that is within within your life, within our lives, as within our sort of evolutionary process. And here we can see here the energies as well. It's sort of calmed down. There's, as I say, there's no more resistance or energy coming through on the Americas, and this is where it's really starting to pull back into a beginning phase again. So I would expect more earthquakes to be heading through this section here, and possibly knocking into that heart chakra, because it seems like that heart chakra is really coming back. Let me just pull up those chakras there, and you can see these chakras as it flitters out across and keeps just literally, you can see it there. So I start at the beginning again, and you can see the energies just flipping across there, trying to flick the heart chakra to get the heart chakra going. It's almost like a CRP, is it? Is it a CRP when you start sort of like helping someone with their heart, as it pumping their heart again, as it were? It seems to be very much that way. And this could be all to do with that pole shift that we were talking about. Anyway, back out to the ley lines.
Okay, the second thing we were talking about here, so those are those earthquakes there. We can see it touching the heart chakra, which has not been at all present in the chakra sequencing over the past few months. It's been quite mad. So yeah, that's been quite, it's obviously something coming up from the surface that is all going to be about sort of the heart and emotional desires and so forth, putting our heartly passions into things. And that's what seems to be coming out of the earth, because there's not a lot coming from the sun at the moment. I think the earth is going to be the main driver of the energy. And we've seen on the sun, we've seen the corona holes. Now that's that earth energy. There's also filament energies. But there's other things that we need to be looking at, what's going on the earth, just to see what is reflecting the vibration that's coming through at the moment. One thing I've noticed, first things first, is volcanoes. Volcanoes seem to be coming up on the radar a lot at the moment. They're talking about hundreds of volcanoes down in Antarctica that are ready to rock and roll. There's a lot that's been going on in Indonesia, in that sort of region there as well. There's been several of them going on over there. There's also the one we saw last week that was in Ethiopia. So this is about that fiery earth energy that's coming to the surface. And if you're looking at the sun, you know, it's definitely, that's the earth energy that's pulling through. And we've seen that in the earthquakes as well. So if you've got earth energy within your chart, in your Astroflower, that's where it's going to be mainly affecting, with the combination of the fires that come through as well. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the weekly readings. You've got earth and fire on Thursday and water and air on Friday. So in seeing how that's going to be affecting your reading and your elements, I will see you there for that. And there is another thing as well. Obviously, there's some weird stuff going on in the world at the moment. You know, it wouldn't be anything about the transition between Capricorn and Aquarius from Pluto without things going a little bit weird. And they have been going weird. And I wouldn't normally sort of mention this, but it seems to be happening a lot all over the place. And it's all about these lights flickering on and off. Here is some of the videos that I've seen on YouTube or seen on the internet. I've also taken quite a bit off MB1330. I think I'll link his channel down below. Does some very interesting stuff as well. And it's about this electricity that's intermittent, that keeps flicking on and off. Now, I wouldn't normally speak about this, because it could be literally just a problem with local electricity. And it is mainly in America. There has been some stuff in the UK. And I was actually in the UK. I was in Southampton. And I was, it was on the, I think it was on the 26th or something like that, the 27th, just before I got a cold. Then we were in Southampton. I was with my daughter. And we were going through a shopping centre on our way to the car. And all of the electricity just turned off, just like that, boom. And then it turned back on, and then the security curtains, fire curtains, came down out of the ceiling. And everyone was just standing around kind of going, what is going on? And it was all very weird. the escalator stopped, all the electricity stopped for 2 seconds. Now, obviously, I just put it down to kind of going, oh, they've just had a bit of a short out on the electricity. Didn't really mark anything more than that. Then we got out of the shopping centre and went towards the car. And as we got towards the car, it did, and this was out into the parking, into a much more sort of like, there's sort of warehouses for commercial shops and stuff like that. And our car was parked in the open air, in the car parking in the open air there. And the same thing happened again. But this time here, and this is the weird stuff, this time here, it shorted my phone. It just shut my phone down. My phone lost all its batteries. And, people have been talking about EMPs and stuff like that, especially with these drones that we see over in America and also in the UK, being something to do with EMPs. I don't know if you've seen a lot of this sort of stuff on the internet. You might well have seen it. And there's a lot tying in as well with those various attacks over in America and over in Germany and so forth. There's some weird stuff going on. And I'd like to go into that a little bit more on Sunday on the live, where we're talking about the general energy and what's going on with the energy. And the reason I'm saying this is because since then there was a lot of other people posting videos about flashing lights and lights just cutting out all over the place and being intermittent, as you well saw on that video. And this sort of like, the thing in Southampton is like, when I was down by the shopping centre, the mall, as you would say in America, I didn't really sort of give it that much heed. Obviously, once the phone went, I kind of thought, something's going on. But I didn't really sort of like go too much investigation into it. Then when I did the energy update last week and we went into the centre of the Earth and we saw the centre of the Earth really buzzing outwards, that's bringing that induction zone right towards the surface. And that's what could be causing these problems here. It could be the energy that's coming out of the Earth at the moment, which is stocked kinetic energy within the plasma field of the centre of the Earth, and it's gradually pushing outwards through to the surface. And I'd like to sort of see at some point what's going on in the magnetic field of the Earth outside in the atmosphere, on the outer echelon. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of investigation on that on Sunday to try and get out a video for that, so we can talk about it on Sunday night on some sort of live or something. But yeah, it just seems like that. It all seems it's got the hallmarks of pole shift. And when we look at the earthquakes which are going on, I get the similar sort of feeling here. So I think this is like the Earth is stepping up. The Earth did do the quickest rotation the Earth has ever done this year again. It broke again the records. Now I think that's 3 years on the trot that the world has broken the speed record of rotation. So it actually rotated less than 24 hours for the first time. And something like that in a day. And this all has to do with pole shift energy. So I think we're going to go into that into much greater detail on Sunday. Okay? So yeah, there's just been some strange stuff. If you've been noticing some strange stuff, please do comment on this video. It does help everyone to understand what's going on. So we can get multitudes of ideas coming in from everywhere, so we can get a better picture of the whole thing. There's a big motorbike going past. So yeah, it'd be lovely to hear and what your thoughts are, what you've been feeling as well locally to you, and if there's been any sort of strange activities. Even sort of grab my email and send me a little video if you've got it. Yes, so let's go into the chakra sequencing. So I'm sat on the line here, chakra sequencing and the message from the Earth. So let's just get into that line now. I've already measured it. It's obviously come up in the northern hemisphere. It's increased in size, and it's definitely still within that sort of capacity. It feels quite good. I'm on a female line. And that's more connected to the heart than anything else, and yeah, it seems a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more sort of energetic. We're getting less of the way of static electricity That's definite feeling with this line here. It's less than what we were getting last week. And I think this has to do with that earth energy, and it's earthing the energy. So it seems to be a little bit less static more than anything else. Let's just go in to see, let's wait for the chakra sequencing. Okay. Let's just get, there we go. We're into the perfect energy now. Here's the first section there. Goes up to the crown. Goes down to the root. This is weird because it's going down one side and then the other rather than down both sides. And there seems to be a second rhythm there that's coming in that's playing on the other side. So it's like in tandem, two rhythms that's going on at the moment. It's quite slow, quite pertinent. It's gone down, really down into the root chakra now. Now it's coming up to the solar plexus. And it's pulling the solar plexus towards the earth. And it's not the nicest of feelings, I've got to say. It feels a little bit sort of sharp, a little bit more than anything else. And then we get the sacrum as well. Here we go, we're coming up to the third eye. And there's the throat chakra there. And there's the heart chakra. It feels good, but it also feels like it's almost like a problem of circulation. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's not going to its full extreme. It's almost like it's timid in a way, the heart energy, in order to step up. It's still there, and it's very solid though, I've got to say. So it's leaving there now, and it's gone down to the root chakra. This is really heavy root chakra as well. Seems to be really heavy earth energy at the moment. Comes up to the solar plexus. That's much better than the first wave going through it. And yet again, that comes up to the throat chakra. Goes back down to the root. Comes back to the central point as well. So it was good to see the heart chakra finally coming back into play. That's really nice. Let me just see what there's a, seems to be a message coming through on that. Be sure of what you're doing before you put your heart's desires into it. It almost feels like a righteous path in a way. That's what it feels like. It's almost as if like the energy is sort of saying, be righteous in what you do. A bit like Richard the Lionheart in a way. You know, the French call it the heart of the lion. And it's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like the strength card in tarot as well, where you've got to be sure about what you're doing, you know, feel it's right for you. So whatever you're doing at the moment in the physical world, and you want to get on really this week, this seems like it's good energy for actually, you know, putting in place physically doing things, rather than just thinking about it. But if you want to get things done, you know, make sure it's right for you, make sure it's right for the environment that is around you, and then just apply it as you see fit, you know, and it's up to the world to come up to scratch basically with you. So it seems like they're sort of like being really sure before you put your heart's desires into it. Okay, let's just get back onto that line there. Okay, we're going to use the crossing point. So we're down that line now, going back down to the church, which is behind me there. So let's just go down that line there, come up to the crossing point, see the crossing point. Excellent. That's a lot easier to get down into than last week, but it seems to be very, very active. really, really strong energy, really white energy. You know, it's really concentrated energy. And we come down into the center of the Earth. This is strange. I've got the center of the Earth, the plasma ball in the middle, which also seems very concentrated without being excited, but I can definitely feel and notice, like, it's almost like the outer layer that's, you know, if you imagine like a ball, the center of the Earth, the core of the Earth, and that's like a plasma ball, and there's this void between the plasma ball and the crust, as it were, and underneath you've got like a sky of lava in a way, because that's where it burns off the crust that makes the gas that comes up through, that gets filtered through the crust, and that's what creates oil, gas, that sort of thing as it gradually cools down. So we'll never see the end of petrol. The Earth will constantly be creating petrol. It's just the way it is. So, you know, it's a natural process. It's not dinosaurs' bones, you know, although it is, I guess, because it's in the Earth, but it's just the crust of the Earth that's gradually being melted and filtered up. It's a filtering process. As we put more on the surface, that gets filtered down, and then it gets burnt up back up, and it filters through a little bit like rain as it goes down the rivers or goes down into the Earth and then eventually makes its way to the sea. It does that circular sort of motion, as it were. And we've got that going on, and I can definitely notice that that crossing point is very much on the surface. So we may be seeing a lot more in the way of electrical problems with telephones or lights or whatever. If you see anything, please do tell us about it. But let's just go on to that plasma ball. It's definitely smaller than it was before. It's really, really sharp, as in it's incredibly, you know, there's several ways of looking at the sun. It's like you can't see any of the fluffy stuff. It's a really smooth surface. It's a really hard surface. So let's just get into that, laying onto that. It's like showing me lots of things, lots of different things. People marching, banners, that sort of thing. You know, a lot of people walking, a lot of people demonstrating, but not demonstrating as in sort of like, you know, any violence or anything like that. It's a really orderly thing. It's almost as like people are demonstrating for peace. Why not? That'd be a novel idea these days. You know, so people demonstrating for that. So that's into that. But there's also at the same time what I get is, you know, like almost like architects or designers drawing stuff, you know, putting into place, you know, working at a table, working at you know, draftsman board. Very interesting. So it seems like it's like kind of going, it's sort of saying now is the time to put into action your plans. That's what it seems to be like. Let's just see, let's get a message. Let's get an actual message from the Earth here. Okay, they've given me the message. It's opened up the message, and it's really weird. It shows me nothing in the beginning, and it's got this arrow that's pointing in a direction, and it's pointing in a direction towards the light. And we saw this last week about the consciousness level here, and it's, and I get someone walking again. It's almost as if like, you know, the Earth is sort of saying, you know the direction because you know the light. Therefore, start walking towards it within your own personal life. Doing the actions that shows or resonates the light that is within you, and being conscious about it, and not getting deviated into distractions. Get on. You know, it's not like now it's time to get on. It's just sort of saying get on and do. Put in action your plans. That's what it seems to be here. Okay, so this is a good week to put into action those sort of plans. Let me just get my vortex as it comes back through. There it is there. And I'll zip back up there, back up into the church, back along the ley line, and back into the body. So yeah, do it, I guess. Do it. Stop thinking about it and just do it. You know, that's what it seems to be. We'll see that in your weekly readings. Obviously, you've got the earth and fires on Thursday, the waters and airs on Friday, and we'll be going into that. And we'll also get, you know, I'm trying to do that sort of live for Sunday, so we can go into a little bit more sort of detail about the energies and what's going on with the energies. If you've got any questions, you can, you know, send it to me on email, so then I can answer it straight away on the lives and so forth. And we're going to be looking at the bigger picture of energy and how it affects us as individuals. So I'll see you there for Sunday for that. Absolutely beautiful to see all the support you give to this channel. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, I will see you all very soon. In the meantime, I guess, don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.